In the age before early access and incomplete games, we were often left with only a handful of titles to pour our time into. But instead of feeling restricted, we found new layers within those few worlds. Today we're going to take a dive into that strange phenomenon of gaming as kids of the 90s and early 2000s, when we didn't just play a game, we replayed it over and over, hunting every secret, unlocking every achievement, squeezing every ounce of content from it. It was a time when replaying a game on New Game Plus, or just starting the game over from a fresh save, felt like entering a new dimension of that world. One where you knew just enough to explore with mastery, but still had mysteries left to uncover. Achievement hunting was a way of life before the word even existed. Games didn't just give us trophies or badges. They gave us the satisfaction of seeing everything a game could offer. A full-course meal instead of today's sampler plates. Back then, without the constant flood of new games and distractions, we had time to relax into these virtual worlds, fully immersing ourselves in them. We had the luxury of time to breathe inside the games and to ask the question, what haven't I discovered yet? And then wait for the answer as we return to them, time and time again, seeking completion in a deeper sense. There was a stark difference between games then and now. Games from the beginning up to the early part of the 2000s came as complete products, as if they were fully polished universes that you could peel back layer after layer. They had no patches waiting in the wings, no roadmaps of future updates. Final Fantasy VII, Pokemon Snap, Crash Bandicoot, Silent Hill, and Halo 2. Each of these were entire worlds unto themselves. You could dive deep into them, explore every corner, and feel like you had experienced everything the developers intended. And these are just a tiny handful of games off the top of my head. Certainly every game I owned back then, from the Game Boy systems to the N64, PlayStations, Xboxes, and on PC, had this in common. Take Final Fantasy VII, for example. There wasn't just a single storyline, but dozens of secrets, side quests, and optional bosses like the weapons. Fights so challenging you could spend days trying to figure out the perfect strategy. The same can be said for Silent Hill 2. Sure, you might finish the story, but the multiple endings, the mysteries hidden in the fog, it made you want to go back, again and again, because it was never quite the same game. It changed as you changed, as you learned more about its dark world. Today's games, while often visually stunning, can feel like they're in a constant state of becoming. Early access, day one patches, and the endless stream of downloadable content have created this perpetual feeling of a game never truly being done. But back in the day, once you had a game, you had it in its entirety. There was something pure about that experience, knowing that every secret in Halo 2 or Resident Evil 2 was already there, just waiting for you to find it. There's a certain kind of magic to New Game Plus modes. Playing through a game the first time is often a journey of survival. You are learning the ropes, barely making it through each encounter, and discovering the story along the way. But when you start over with New Game Plus, suddenly the game becomes something different. You already know the world, and you're comfortable with the flow of combat, movement, controls, and all of that. But now you're playing with a different mindset. You're prepared, equipped, and experienced. And yet, there's still more to uncover. Remember Final Fantasy X? The first playthrough was all about getting through the intense battles, following Tidus and Yuna's story, but once you start over, it wasn't about just surviving anymore. It became about uncovering every secret in the game, unlocking celestial weapons, fighting the Dark Aeons, and being able to fully understand the Albed language. You had to return because the game wasn't really over until you'd seen everything. And when you finished the credits, you weren't quite ready to leave that world behind. It's like rereading a novel, a second trip into Philip K. Dick's dark dreamscapes, where you pick up details that were invisible to you the first time around. It's easy to look back with nostalgia on this era, but that's because something really has changed. In the 90s and early 2000s, we weren't just playing for the sake of playing. We were mastering. The experience of a game grew as we did. We didn't have endless options at our fingertips like today, so the few games we owned were thoroughly picked apart. And every time we replayed them, we found something new, something deeper. Even a game like Resident Evil had layers to its world. The first time, you're terrified, barely scraping through, but on your second run, the scares lose their edge. You begin to understand the world better. Notice how each zombie moves, where the items are hidden, and which corners you turn may have a zombie waiting for you at an unfortunate angle. By the third run, it's not about the story at all, but about how efficiently you can move through the mansion, dodging enemies, managing resources, and sort of speedrunning through in record time. Completion wasn't just a checkbox. It was a testament to your understanding of the world. Another point worth mentioning is that our revisits weren't driven by shallow nostalgia, but by a deep, quiet need to see the games as they really were, to wring every last drop of meaning from them. It wasn't about collecting a shiny badge for show. It was about knowing that you'd left nothing on the table, that you had really and truly experienced everything that game had to offer. Achievement hunting, New Game Plus, and completing a game wasn't about bragging rights back then. It was about a genuine connection to these virtual worlds. We were explorers, searching for every hidden corner. And every time we booted up that same game, it was like stepping into a world we thought we knew, only to realize there was always something more. In those golden years, replaying a game was akin to rereading a favorite book. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. And each new visit revealed more about the game, and maybe even more about ourselves. So now, as we scroll through endless game libraries, remember that there was once a time when the lack of options forced us to focus, to perfect, and to appreciate the art of completionism. And in those moments, we became more than just players. We became masters. If you made it to the end, thank you as always for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into gaming as well as my horror content. I try to upload at least a few times a week, checking out new indie horror games and talking more in depth about whatever subject comes to mind, like today. Alright, see you next time.